A Credit Card Guide. Chapter 1. Credit Cards 1. Credit Card Information 1. It's nice to be able to spend what you don't have. Right off the bat, if you got any guts, call up your credit card companies and tell them you've gotten offers in the mail for credit cards at 3% lower interest rates than what you are paying with that credit card company. Ask for a reduction in the interest, otherwise you'll take your business elsewhere. Just to make it perfectly clear at the top, I'm not necessarily against credit cards. They're convenient for such things as online purchases and purchases over the phone, and you pretty well need one to rent a car or a hotel room, so they can temporarily debit it and charge you that money if you damage their property, but I'm from the old school, plus I'm not materialistic. If I can't afford it, I won't buy it, but that's my story, not yours. The deal is, if you're going to get a credit card anyway, look for one with perks like frequent flyer miles, gift certificates, or something like that. An annual fee is a one-time membership fee you pay for the privilege of using the CRAD. Many companies have no annual fee. A few credit card companies charge an application fee to process your application regardless of whether you get approved for a CRD or not. The APR is the annual percentage rate of interest you will be charged. This is quite simple in and of itself, but credit card companies have complex ways of how they calculate your outstanding balance every month. They try to suck as much money as they can out of the people who pay near the minimum balances due. The credit limit is how much credit you have on your credit card dollar-wise. The billing cycle is the length of time between each billing statement, usually about 30 days. The grace period is the period of time after you buy something on credit that you have to pay the credit card company without any interest. You usually have one billing cycle. Some companies don't have grace periods. Late fee is a fee you pay when you are late with your monthly payment. An over-limit fee is a fee you pay when you go over your credit limit. Cash advance fee is an extra fee you pay when you use your credit card to get straight cash. There are other fees. Read your contract carefully if you dare. Most people don't. The cost of credit is generally too high to be worth it unless you like the convenience of it and pay it off within the grace period every month. Credit cards are great if you use them like this, for the convenience things you need, then pay the total bill promptly every month during the grace period. Within the biz, these people, the ones who pay on time, are called deadbeats. Credit card companies love people who make minimal payments or slightly above, because when their credit cards are finally paid off, if ever, they will waste a lot of their money paying out interest rather than on the principal, the actual thing they bought. Credit cards are good for the perks that some of them offer, like frequent flyer miles, free car rental insurance, baggage loss insurance, guaranteed hotel reservations, etc. When you make a partial payment as opposed to full payment, interest is not charged on the remaining amount of what you owe, it's charged on the full amount even though you paid part of it off in the grace period. When you miss a payment or two or are late a few times, credit card companies will typically charge a late fee and raise the interest rate. The deal with credit card companies is that they try to get you with a low introductory deal like 0% interest for 6 months, then they put all kinds of traps in there to nullify this. It's called universal default, a bunch of rules in the contract which I bet you didn't read. The worst rule is probably that if you make a late payment with anyone, not just the particular credit card company in this case, all deals are off. It's one of their rules. You violated it, and by the law of universal default, they now have the right to jack up your interest rate, and they will. Also hidden in the contract is the option to raise your interest rates after the fact with just a 15-day advance notice. In 1996, the Smiley vs. Citibank case gave credit card companies the right to charge higher late fees, over limit, and returned check fees over and above the interest rate. The credit card companies advocate is the American Bankers Association. The Credit Card Consumers Advocate is supposed to be the OCC, Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, although I've heard that they're a bunch of apathetic bureaucrats, federal government employees, and your local consumer protection offices affiliated with your local district attorney's offices. The OCC wants exclusive jurisdiction over credit card companies, so they have made some rules saying that state district attorney offices and the Better Business Bureau had better butt out of their jurisdiction, but the people complain to these places because the OCC is like some far-off big bureaucracy that doesn't help with individual cases, just with big trends. In essence, don't expect the OCC to be looking out for you. They're a bunch of bureaucrats interested in protecting their jobs. Read your credit card contract. Use credit sparingly, if at all. Don't be late or miss payments. Pay off the entire bill every month. Beware that the job of credit card companies is to suck you into the game of buy now, make minimum payments and get sucked into paying interest forever. With all the free credit cards around, there's no reason to get a card that has an annual fee. When your credit card is stolen and used fraudulently, generally the credit card company will assume all but $50 of the damage, but it will be a hassle for you to prove if it was fraudulent, plus it could damage your credit rating, which you have to straighten out on your own. In order to protect yourself from credit card fraud, don't give your credit card number to anyone who calls you regardless of who they claim they are. Get a simple personal identification number/PIN which you keep in your head, not written down somewhere. Get a one-number PIN like 5555 or 6666. Don't use your birth date. When your card expires, cut it up. When the vendor gives you back your credit card, look at the name to make sure it's yours. Make a photocopy of all your credit cards for security in case you need the numbers or proof that you have a credit card after you have lost it. When you get your credit card statement, write the emergency number down. Then if your credit cards are lost or stolen, call the credit card company immediately. When you get a new credit card, sign it immediately. When you make a purchase, be wary lest the vendor swipe it on a second machine to make a counterfeit copy of it. Check the credit card slip against the receipt for errors. Credit card information 2. Keep all receipts and credit card forms until you get your bill in the mail to check it. Also, keep your credit card receipt so somebody doesn't steal it and use the number to charge purchases over the phone. It's very easy for anyone to use your credit card number to charge things over the phone without needing your card, so check every bill for every purchase listed on it. Have only 2 or 3 credit cards to keep it simple and be aware of where they are all the time. Carry the least amount of credit cards you need on you. Never assign a blank credit card slip. Draw lines through the empty spaces on credit card slips to avoid somebody tampering with it. Money is money regardless of whether you use plastic or cash. Don't fall in the trap of frivolous spending with your credit card because it seems so easy at the time, only to pay through the nose later. Even though you plan to never pay interest by always paying your bill on time, look for a low-interest card anyway. If there are bonuses by using your credit card, like getting frequent flyer miles, use it to get them, then pay off the bill before interest is due. In general, there are 3 types of credit cards. A credit card issued by a company for the purchase of goods only for their company, like gasoline, a department store or an airline. These charge the highest interest rates at about 20%. Credit cards like Visa or MasterCard for purchases at all kinds of businesses are issued by banks, financial institutions, and corporations like AT&T, GM and Ford. National credit card companies like American Express or Diners Club, which charge an annual fee and possibly payment for late penalties over and above interest fees. Visa and MasterCard are basically trademark names which member financial institutions use when setting up their own independent credit card lines, which is why every different type of Visa or MasterCard credit card comes from a different specific financial company, so you can conceivably have 10 Visa cards each from a different member institution. There are credit cards where you can go on paying on your credit bill month after month, but charge cards like the one offered by American Express don't offer you credit after the first month. They expect full payment for whatever you might have charged in the previous month. They don't let you pay partially and carry a balance month after month. In general, when you buy something using a credit card, the vendor scans your card into his reader, which goes to the central credit card computer located at the credit card company and verifies whether your card is good and you're not past your limit yet. The money is then put onto your bill while the credit card company pays the vendor his money minus what the vendor owes in fees for using the merchant credit card service. If you go beyond your grace period in the payment of your credit card, they charge interest on it and will continue doing this as long as you make the minimum payment every month. Credit card companies want you to pay only the minimum amount because then they make money by charging interest on the money you owe. The system is set up such that if you make only minimal payments, it can take 20 years or so to pay off even a small amount because interest is always being added to it. Credit card issuers offer a wide variety of terms. Beware of a teaser rate which offers a low interest rate but in very fine print somewhere says that after 6 months the rate will go up to 28%. Always read everything about the credit card before you apply for it. Consider and compare all the terms, including the following before you select a card. Annual percentage rate, APR, the cost of credit as a yearly rate. Free or grace period allows you to avoid any finance charge by paying your balance in full before the due date. If there is no free period, you will pay a finance charge from the date of the transaction, even if you pay your entire balance when you receive your bill. Fees and charges. Most issuers charge an annual fee. Some also might charge a fee for a cash advance or if you fail to make a payment on time or go over your credit limit. A few decades ago, there were laws against charging the kinds of interest rates credit cards get today. Exorbitantly high interest rates were forbidden by federal law. Today, however, it's standard business. Some cards have rates approaching 28%. Some product manufacturers have credit plans that push 31%. Most credit card companies attract customers with super low interest rates, sometimes as low as 5%, but what they only tell you in the fine print, which few people bother to read, is that the interest rate jumps up after 6 months. Many cards that start you out at 6% soon jump to 18% or higher. By that time, most people have chalked up a balance and are stuck. Most people simply fail to notice when their rate increases. Credit card companies count on that. They like people who take no interest in details. Some credit card companies charge no annual fee for use of their card. Annual fees range from $18 to $55. You pay it every year simply for the alleged privilege of using the card. Other companies charge no annual fee. You might think that this is a better deal. Most often they are not. Cards with no annual fee almost always have a higher interest rate. If you leave a monthly balance, you will always pay more than the annual fee in interest charges. Only if you never leave an unpaid monthly balance can you benefit from a card with no annual fee. Some credit card companies offer such perks as frequent flyer miles or annual rebates. Use the card so often and get X amount of frequent flyer miles. Use your card and get credit toward the purchase of an automobile. Is this a good deal? Hardly ever. As you might have guessed, the offer of rebates and gifts is simply an inducement for you to pay super high interest rates. Unless you are a big spender and travel a lot, you will rarely benefit from this kind of promotion. Never sign up for a credit card until you compare rates. Shop around. Credit card companies are just as competitive as any other kind of business. That means interest rates vary widely. In general, never go for a card that is 5% higher than the current prime rate. What if you are already on the hook with a major credit card with an agonizing rate of interest? Pick up the phone, call your card company and get tough. Often, if you ask for a lower interest rate, you will get one. It's as simple as that. As further incentive, you can threaten to transfer your balance to another credit card company within the system. If you have a Visa or MasterCard with one particular company in the system, you can move it to another card in the system. Switch to a credit card company with a lower rate. Many card companies are more than willing to take you on as a customer. Of course, you are then beholden to them. That's fine if you score a lower interest rate. Credit card information 3. Many people get credit problems because they don't keep track of purchases they make with their credit cards. Keep track of what you spend on your credit cards. Credit card companies can, and do, Change the rules all the time. Credit card companies entice us with 0 or low % interest offers, but they count on us not reading the fine print, so they bury rules in there that sock it to us one way or another, such as not obeying the balance transfer rules. The credit card companies have moved to states with weak consumer protection laws such as South Dakota, where they can raise their rates at will, and it will apply everywhere since they are headquartered in SD. Credit cards are almost magically deceptive and alluring. They get at the deepest psychological level of the human mind, a level which allows people to have the feeling they are getting something for free, when in fact, they are paying 2, 3, 4, even 10 times as much for that product because of the interest they will pay on each purchase. On the other hand, not having a credit card is becoming less and less practical in modern America. You can't rent a car without a credit card. Carrying cash is dangerous. Checks are not accepted everywhere, and traveling to another city or country is extremely difficult without the confidence and identity a credit card brings. The solution is the ATM card affiliated with a major credit card company like Visa, such that when you use it, you're using money you already have in your bank account, but the drawback is that the maximum liability for a stolen credit card is $50, while with an ATM card, if it's stolen or cloned, they can clean out your entire account. Credit card companies want to hook you in, get you in debt, then swim in the pit of monthly payments for life. It's absurd that on the one hand, the banks will give you a 3% interest rate on your savings account and charge you 18% on your credit card debt. Some experts calculated out that most people who make only minimum payments on their credit cards are stuck in a near perpetual limbo where they're paying for 20+ years and end up tripling the debt on interest payments. Go back to the old-fashioned maxim: if you can't afford it, don't buy it. If you use your credit card, pay the bill off within the grace period, that's it. Don't keep lingering debt that you waste interest payments on. If you're overextended now, hide your credit card somewhere until it's all paid off. If it's desperate, cut it up. If you're in heavy debt, take the advice I heard a radio talk show host tell to some schmuck one night to go out and get a second job, even if shelving groceries on the weekends. You got into the mess, it's your responsibility to get out as quickly as possible. The thing about credit cards is that it doesn't seem like real money when you spend it. Get the respect and value back by using cash and actually handing it over when you buy something. It gives you your real perspective back. Some banks are eliminating the standard 25 or 30-day grace period within which you may pay your bill without being charged interest. Some banks are offering extremely low fixed rates but without a grace period. These cards will charge you interest from the date it is processed on your charge slip. If you usually pay your bills in full within the normal grace period, avoid no grace period cards. However, if you carry a balance each month, you're better off with a lower interest rate. In this case, a lower interest rate can save you more money than a grace period would. Most banks and thrifts charge interest from the day they process your charge slip when you use your card to get cash. In addition to this, some cards are now assessing cash advance service charges based on a percentage of the amount received. If you avoid interest charges by paying off your bill each month, seek out a card that offers very low interest rates plus a grace period on purchases. Some institutions periodically offer cards with no fee for the first year as a promotion. Some gold cards don't give you many benefits, but some do, like travel insurance, extended warranties on purchases, medical help away from home, free traveler's checks, loss, theft, and damage insurance on purchases, car rental deductible insurance, and the extra protection if your card is lost or stolen. Since by law, you are only liable for up to $50 if your regular credit cards are lost or stolen, the zero liability you are getting from premium cards isn't that big a deal, but if a premium card offers benefits that you might use, it might be worth it to get it. Protect your credit record. Pay bills promptly to keep finance charges low and to protect your credit rating. Keep track of your charges and don't exceed your credit limit. Report any change of address prior to moving so that you receive bills promptly. Promptly report any suspicious or unauthorized charges to the card issuer. Never give your credit card number over the phone unless you have made the call and you know the company is reputable. Go for no annual membership fee and grace period cards and pay promptly. Shop around for the lowest interest rates. Pay off higher interest loans first. Don't get sucked into the credit card trap. Get one major card and one gas card and that's it. Find a lower rate card and transfer your debt there. In many cases, they will let you do it if it originated from the same company, i.e. Visa, MasterCard. Credit unions have credit cards with good deals on interest rates. If you have been a good credit card customer for a year or two, call or send them a letter telling them you have an offer 4 points less and ask them to shave 3 points off and chuck the annual fee. Beware of ads that offer you the service of getting you a credit card, especially if they offer instant, no credit check credit. They will usually take your money and leave you hanging. Know your credit card protections. When you have used your card for a purchase and don't receive the goods or services as promised, you might be able to withhold payment for the goods or services. Card issuers must investigate billing disputes. If your card is lost or stolen, you are not liable for any charges if you report the loss before the card is used. If the card is used before you report it missing, the most you will owe is $50. Sign cards when they arrive so no one can forge your signature on the cards and use them. Keep copies of all sales slips. Open credit card bills promptly and compare the sales slips with the charges on your bill. Destroy carbons and incorrect charge slips. Keep a record of your card numbers and expiration dates and the phone number of the card issuer in a safe place. Take a deal on a teaser card offering a low interest rate for 1 year, then simply cut the card in two. Beware of variable rate cards. The only way they change is up with interest rates. Credit card insurance is usually a rip-off in any form since you're covered over $50 of theft anyway. Shop around for the terms that are best for you. Before giving money to a company that promises to help you get a credit card, find out who the card issuer is and get the credit card terms in writing, including all the fees and whether a deposit is required. Try to apply to a card issuer directly, rather than giving money to a third party. If you don't get the credit card, you might not be able to get your money back. Beware of companies that promise instant credit or guarantee you a credit card even if you have bad credit or no credit history. No one can guarantee you credit in advance. Beware of phony credit cards issued by a scam artist that allows you to buy products from their overpriced catalog. You usually have to pay an upfront fee for these cards and some are outright scams. They will lure you with a promise of a gold card if you prove yourself with their credit card. Secured credit card companies may want an upfront fee. If so, be sure you know what the upfront fees are. Open credit card bills immediately and check over all charges. Stores that take credit cards can't refuse your credit card regardless of the value of the purchase. Some merchants try to impose a minimum purchase before you can use your credit card, but that's illegal. Cash advances on credit cards have high interest fees starting from the date of issue. If you are unable to pay off a large balance, switch to a credit card with a low annual percentage rate, APR. Some credit cards have background design that rubs off if anyone tries to erase the signature. There's the fingerprint design on the American Express panel, repeated Visa or MasterCard logos on some bank cards and the SafeSig design on others. The principle is the same as with security paper, the wavy line pattern erases, leaving a white area. This makes it obvious that the signature has been altered. The security device on the back, the brown magnetic strip, contains the account number and the card's expiration date. Expired cards can be eaten by automatic teller machines even when the expired card has the same account number and name as its valid replacement card. Credit limit, address, phone number, employer etc., is probably not stored in the strip since banks do not issue new cards just because this information changes. Change your credit card companies. Credit cards make things cost more unless you pay off the balance each month. If you have debt on credit cards which you have had for a while, transfer them to cards with low interest rates so that more of your monthly repayment actually goes to repaying the debt. Applying online is easy. You might get 0% interest bonus period. Uswitch.com, a good comparison service for credit cards and banking. If you want to stick with your current credit card company, tell them you're thinking of changing cards and they might be persuaded to lower your rate. Pay off debt. Pay the minimum monthly repayment on all but the most expensive credit card. Pay as much extra on it that you can afford until it is gone. Move on to the next most expensive card. If your credit cards have spiraled, you might have the option of refinancing to lower the payments. Credit balance insurance ripoff. Credit card companies are supposed to ask their customers if they want credit balance insurance, but often they don't and bill them anyway, or they use a technique called assumptive closing, which is that they gloss over it in their sales pitch, assume you'll want it, then tack it on your bill. In one case, they told the guy the first month is free. If he wanted to cancel after that, to call and cancel, which is deception because they know most people have other things on their mind than this rip-off insurance. They're making big money ripping off people a little bit every month. The concept is that for about $1 a month for every $100 you owe, they say they'll cover your credit card bill if you get sick or lose your job, but they don't tell you they don't wipe out your entire bill, they only make minimum payments as long as you're sick or unemployed. It's a huge rip-off for the benefit. If you owe $2,500 on your credit card, you're paying them $25 a month for almost nothing. If you see it on your statement and didn't agree to it, call them, tell them you didn't sign up for it, you want a full refund on that fee, otherwise you'll get a lawyer and file a class action lawsuit. It's such a rip-off that Britain made it illegal. Getting a lower rate. Simply call the toll-free number on each of your credit cards, tell them competitors have been sending you credit card offers at a significantly lower rate like 4%. Tell them you're thinking of moving to them unless they can lower your rate by at least 2 to 3 points. Some will give you a lower rate. Cancel the ones that don't, then shop around looking for low-interest credit cards. Joint credit cards. Don't get joint credit cards because your partner can easily buy a bunch of stuff and leave you holding the bill. nfcc.org. Chapter 2. Credit Card Topics 1. Wise use of credit cards. Use a credit card to get points and rewards for travel and products. Pay it off in full every month on time. Don't use cards with fees. Balance transfer offer / switch to a credit card with 0% or low interest fees. If you owe quite a lot of money on a particular credit card, you can switch the balance over to another credit card with 0% or low interest rate and no balance transfer fee. The new credit card company will pay off your bill with the old company, then collect the money from you. Frugaldad.com. bettermyrates.com/creditcards.cfm. International credit card transaction fees. The issuing company or bank usually charges a foreign transaction fee up to 3%. The MasterCard or Visa people charge a 1% fee. ATM fees could go from free to $5. Compare fees at bankrate.com. Capital One, Charles Schwab and First Republic Bank all had 0 fees when I checked. indexcreditcards.com/international transaction fees, international credit card transaction fees. Dining cards. Dining cards generally have an annual fee and require full payment every month. Restaurantro.com/createaccount.cfm. thaydiningcard.com. Diners Club. 800-234-6377. 800-2 Diners. DinersClubooze.com. Travel and credit cards. Some credit card companies are so security conscious that if they get a charge for a credit card from a foreign land and were not informed in advance by the legitimate holder that he or she was traveling there, they will stop the charge and nullify the card. It's all computerized now. If you do a charge more than 50 miles away from your usual charges as determined by your zip code, it will come up on a security watch and they will investigate it. If you own a credit card and do not call your credit card company and tell them in advance that you will be going on a trip somewhere, they could shut your credit card down when you're making your first transaction over there, and after that, it's very hard to turn it back on. It's tougher than just a simple phone call because for all they know, you could be a fraudster with all the right personal information. 7. Travelcredit.html. Alert your credit card companies when traveling. independenttraveler.com/resources. Travel credit cards. All of these cards offer benefits for travelers like frequent flyer miles when you sign up plus X number of miles per year. Some offer frequent flyer miles, some offer discounts for hotel and air bookings, and some offer both. Cardoffers.com, airlinecreditcards.com, americanexpress.com, the Blue Sky credit card. American Express. 800-297-3276. 800-297-6453. 800-AXP Learn. AmericanExpress.com exp.com/cust_surf/international. American Express Delta. 800 Sky Mile. AmericanExpress.com. exp.com. American West Visa. 800-928-2933. Visa.com. Bank of America Travel Visa. 800-349-2632. Buffet.com. Diners Club. 800-2 Diners. DinersClubs.com. Visa.com/Signature USA. 888-847-2003. Lost or stolen credit cards. If your wallet is stolen, your greatest cost may be inconvenience, because your liability on lost or stolen cards is limited under the Truth in Lending Act. You do not have to pay for any unauthorized charges made after you notify the card company of loss or theft of your card, so keep a list of your credit card numbers and notify card issuers immediately if your card is lost or stolen. The most you will have to pay for unauthorized charges is $50 on each card, even if someone runs up several $100s worth of charges before you report a card missing. Loss or theft of credit and ATM cards is a serious consumer problem. However, two federal laws, the Fair Credit Billing Act, FSBA, and the Electronic Fund Transfer Act, EFTA, establish procedures for you and your creditors to follow to resolve problems with credit cards and electronic fund transfer accounts. There are at least two good financial reasons for you to report the loss or theft of your credit and ATM cards quickly. First, the sooner you report the loss, the more likely you will limit your liability if someone uses your card without your permission. Most card fraud occurs within the first 48 hours after a card is stolen. Second, the sooner you report any loss, the more card costs in general can be kept down. You pay higher interest rates and annual fees because card fraud costs issuers hundreds of millions of dollars each year. If any of your cards are missing or stolen, report the loss as soon as possible to your card issuers. Some companies have toll-free numbers printed on their statements and 24-hour service to accept such emergency information. For your own protection, you should follow up your phone calls with a letter to each card issuer. The letter should give your card number, say when your card was missing, and mention the date you called in the loss. You may wish to check your homeowner's insurance policy to see if it covers your liability for card thefts. If not, some insurance companies will allow you to change your current policy to include protection for card losses. If you report the loss before these cards are used, the FSBA says the card issuer cannot hold you responsible for any unauthorized charges. If a thief uses your cards before you report them missing, the most you will owe for unauthorized charges on each card is $50. This is true even if a thief is able to use your credit card at an ATM machine to access your credit card account. However, it is not enough simply to report your credit card loss. After the card loss, review your billing statements carefully. If your statements show any charges not made by you, send a letter to the card issuer describing each questionable charge on your account. Again, tell the card issuer the date your card was lost or stolen and when you reported it to them. Be sure to send the letter to the address provided for billing errors. Do not send it with a payment or to the address where you send your payments unless you are directed to do so. Federal Trade Commission. Washington, D.C. 20580. FTC.gov. 3 free booklets: Credit and Charge Card Fraud, Fair Credit Billing and Credit Billing Blues. Report lost or stolen cards. American Express. 800-528-5400. 4800. 800-221-7282, Traveler's Checks. 910-333-3211. aexp.com. Diners Club. 800-234-6377. 800-363-3333, Canada. dinersclub.com. Discover. 800-347-2683. Discover.com. MasterCard. 800-622-7747. 800-307-7309. 800-826-2181. 800-223-9920, Traveler's Checks. 303-278-8000. Mastercard.com. Thomas Cook. 800-223-7373. thomascook.com. Lost Traveler's Checks. Visa. 800-847-2911. 800-336-8472. 800-227-6811, Traveler's Checks. 410-581-7931. Visa.com. Using credit cards abroad. When you make a purchase abroad, the credit card slip will usually be written in the currency of the country rather than in American dollars. Check your sales slip before you sign it to make sure you are being charged the correct amount. In some countries, they use periods between numbers instead of commas like 10.000, which means 10,000, or commas instead of periods like $69.25, which $69.25. The credit card company converts the charge to American dollars before it appears on your statement. Most credit card companies charge a conversion fee of about 1% for converting your currency. Bring as many credit cards as you feel will cover how much money you intend to spend, but keep them separate, like one in your wallet, one in your suitcase, one hidden in your shoes, etc. Before you leave, write down the international phone numbers of all relevant credit card companies and keep them handy in case something happens, like they get stolen. If such a number is not on the back of the credit card, call the credit card company and ask about it. In most foreign countries, consumer protection laws are different from those of America. If you're making a large purchase, ask in advance about guarantees and refund policies and get it in writing. If you can't get satisfaction through the credit card company for defective or undelivered merchandise, I have heard of cases of people contacting the country's embassy or Department of Commerce of the offending merchant, where the matter was quickly resolved. Beware of counterfeit goods such as jewelry and so-called artwork and antiques. If you decide to get your purchases shipped back to the US, get all the proper shipping paper straightened out and in writing. Buy insurance if you deem it necessary. If you rent a car using a credit card, you may get free collision damage waiver /CDW, which is car insurance as long as you comply to certain conditions. Ask your credit card company about it. Not all rental companies accept credit card CDW. Italy and New Zealand currently require you to buy the rental car company's CDW regardless of whether your credit card company also offers it. Report any accident or damages to both the rental car company and your credit card company. In many foreign countries, if you make a hotel reservation then cancel, they will still charge you for the room. If you're going to be late, call the hotel and tell them. Ask for an itemized bill and inspect it before you leave. When you buy an airline ticket with a credit card, check to see whether it's refundable. College credit cards. Creditwish.com. Citibank.com, Citibank student cards. Visa Travel Money. Visa Travel Money is a prepaid debit card. You use up the money in it, then throw it away. usa.visa.com/personal/cards/visa_travel_money.html. Chapter 3. Credit Card Topics 2. Cash Advance/Convenience Checks Info. You can use your credit cards to get straight cash from an ATM or by using checks supplied by the credit card companies at banks. These transactions are called cash advances. Convenience checks are checks they give you that you can write to get cash. They're the same thing as a cash advance. Credit cards work on the principle that your balances of what you owe can accumulate and be charged a standard interest rate per month, but the deal is that your interest rate for the cash advance is usually 3 to 5 percentage points higher than the standard rate. It's easy to get cash through your credit cards, but you're paying a higher interest rate for it. Some credit card companies even charge an additional fee for every cash advance you get, not to mention possible ATM fees plus the higher interest rate. Some credit card companies charge a percentage fee of the transaction, others charge a flat fee regardless of the amount of the cash advance. Some charge both for a combined fee. Most credit card transactions have a grace period such that if you pay your bill in full at the end of the month, you will be charged no interest. This grace period does not apply for cash advances. There is no grace period. There is interest on this money from day one when you get it. Many credit card companies are so crafty that they put the cash advance money you owe at the bottom of the list such that whatever you pay them is applied to your regular credit card debt first before they start paying off your cash advance. They do this for obvious reasons. The interest rate is higher on your cash advance. If you can't pay off the entire balance, you will end up paying the higher interest rate on the balance. The way some people avoid the cash advance is to buy a big ticket item from a large department store, then go back a little later and ask for a refund. The cashier will ask them if they want cash or their credit card debited. Simply ask for cash. Some credit card companies have an emergency feature where they offer you cash if you're a stranded traveler who has lost everything. The terms for this could be different than the terms for a cash advance. The cash vs. credit card trick. The world of credit has a trick you should know about, one that actually saves you money right on the spot. All you have to do is carry your credit cards with you when you go out shopping, even if you intend to pay by cash. Keep an eye open for the smaller, personal service type shops where the boss himself or one of the partners is always present. As you walk in, check out the decals on the door to see which credit cards they accept. Select your purchase in the way you normally would. When the deal's all set, produce your credit card and say, "I'd like to charge it, please." At this, the merchant's face will probably drop about 6 feet, but he will take your card and walk over to the imprinting machine or maybe to the telephone to check your credit status. He hasn't got much choice. He has to take your card if he uses their decal in the window, but the point is, he hates to, because he has to pay the credit card company a percentage of the sale, usually somewhere between 6% and 10%. Now, while he's vulnerable, is the time to hit him with a casually dropped remark like, say, "How about knocking 5% off the price and I will pay cash instead?" The chances are he will accept your offer, because it saves him the other part of the credit card company percentage and because it saves him bookkeeping chores and waiting from 3 to 7 days for his money to be credited to him by the credit card company. The reason why this gimmick doesn't work in big stores is that the clerk doesn't give a damn what it costs the boss and has no authority to take an additional percentage off the price, so he or she will just go ahead and write up your credit card invoice. Credit card blocking. Credit card blocking is a situation where some hotels and rental car companies put a hold of a certain amount of money on your credit card over and above what you're actually currently spending with them as a kind of insurance that they will keep if you run up the bill on the car, get into an accident, damage it, or run up service on a hotel room. This could be embarrassing if you're near your credit limit. Credit card structure. Visa card numbers begin with a 4 and have either 13 or 16 digits. MasterCard card numbers begin with a 5 and have 16 digits. American Express begins with a 3 and has 15 digits. Diners Club cards have 14. Carte Blanche has 10. They have the formats of the following: 3XX American Express, 4-Visa, 4XXX Visa, 5XXX MasterCard. There are generally 4 groups of numbers on a credit card. The first digit identifies the card. 3. American Express. 4. Visa. 5. MasterCard. 6. Discover. Every bank, Credit union of financial institution that issues a credit has its own unique 3-digit number that appears right after the first credit card identifying number. This clump of numbers is called Group 4. Group 3, the second group on a credit card in from the left, holds general information about the expiration date and credit limit by assigning a certain number code to different demographics. For example, if your card expires between May and September of the following year and your credit limit is $5,000, you are given a certain number based on this group. If your card expires between September and December and your credit limit is $3,000 or even $5,000, your card will be assigned a different number. The last two groups are the identification codes which identify you as the individual with the credit card account. Only in a few cases does the color of the credit card mean anything. There are the American Express, Visa, and MasterCard Gold cards for preferred customers. The air travel card comes in red and green, of which green is better. The most elaborate color scheme and a source of some confusion to status-conscious queues, is that of Bloomingdale's credit cards. The 5 colors of Bloomingdale's cards do not signify credit limits per SE, but they do tip off the sales staff as to what type of customer you are. According to Bloomingdale's credit department, here is how it works. Low color in pecking order is blue, issued to Bloomingdale's employees as a perk in their compensation packages. The basic Bloomies card is yellow. Like most department store cards, it can be used to spread payments over several months with the payment of a finance charge. The red card gives holders 3 months free interest and is issued to customers who regularly make large purchases. The silver card is good for unlimited, but as with a travel and entertainment card, all charges must be paid within 30 days. The gold card offers the same payment options as the yellow card but is reserved for the store's biggest customers. Privacy with credit cards. Whenever you apply for credit, somebody pulls up your credit file to check you out. It is generally updated monthly by your present creditors. The best credit card for personal privacy is the American Express card because they only report your credit data to the credit reporting bureaus if your account has to be written off as non-collectible. American Express only releases information about your account to the CRAs if they are presented with a credit order requiring them to do so. As a policy, American Express does not release account information to other creditors unless you specifically give them permission to. They only release it to CRAs if you totally default, not if you make late payments, and also only if given an order to do so. For privacy, American Express is the best credit card to have. With all the other credit cards besides American Express, if they are issued in the US, they automatically report your information monthly to the credit bureaus. As an afterthought, American Express traditionally had a policy whereby all their cardholders had to pay their full balance at the end of every month, but they are also now getting into the revolving credit market like the others, namely Visa and MasterCard. This is called the Optima card. You must be an American Express card holder in good standing for at least 1 year before you can apply for the Optima card. With this card, you can make minimum payments if you want. Unauthorized charges on the credit card. By the Truth in Lending Act, you're only liable up to $50 in unauthorized charges if you document it quickly and in writing. You must send them a letter stating you did not make that purchase or the vendor made a mistake and overcharge you. Provide a photocopy of your receipt. You must send this letter within 60 days of getting the credit card bill with the error on it. If your bill does not come in the mail on time, it could be that an identity thief changed the address on your credit account. Look up your credit card bill online if possible, or call the credit card company, tell them you didn't get the bill and possibly ask for a list of last month's charges to be read to you over the phone because their rule says you have to contact them within 60 days. Not getting your bill in the mail won't work as an excuse. Send your letter by certified mail and request a return receipt so that you have proof that you sent it. The creditor must respond within 30 days. If they don't, call them. Tell them they're obligated to respond within 30 days. Credit card fees and penalties. Credit card companies used to make their money off interest. Now they make a lot off fees and penalties. Be aware of what fees and penalties you pay. Credit card companies can change the terms and conditions or your contract anytime they want. If you get a letter stating they are changing the terms and conditions, read it, and if you don't like it, cancel your contract. When you apply for credit, read the terms and conditions so you know all the fees they will charge over and above interest payments. Here are some of the fees you can find on a credit card. Annual fees, a fee for using the card. Application fee, usually on secured cards or subprime cards. Balance transfer fee, usually a percentage of the balance you transfer. Cash advance fee, fee on all cash advances. Inactivity fee, a fee for not using the card. Late payment fee, pay late. No balance and low balance fees, if you pay off the balance every month promptly or have a low amount of money you owe them, they might charge you a fee. Over limit fee, if you withdraw more money than your credit limit and you've opted in to do that, they could charge you an over limit fee. Paper statement fees, for receiving a statement in the mail. Chapter 4. Credit Card Topics 3. No interest for 12 months deal. Many types of stores like furniture stores, electronics stores, department stores, etc. offer no interest, no payments type deals for a year or longer, but what they don't tell you is that if you don't pay the balance due on the first payment date and only pay the minimum due, they soak you for interest charges retroactive to the day you bought the stuff. If you go for a deal like this, when your first payment comes due 12 to 18 months later, pay off the full balance of the monthly payment, not the minimum amount due, otherwise they'll simply add the previous year's or 18 months interest because you didn't pay the whole balance when it was due. You even pay interest on the sales tax and on the interest, compound interest. The best way to use one of these deals is to have the money already saved up, put it in an account for a year or so to earn interest, then take the 12 to 18 month interest-free loan on the product. When the payment is due, pay it off immediately to avoid interest charges. Leasing costs and terms. Leasing gives you temporary use of property in return for periodic payments. It has become a popular alternative to buying under certain circumstances. For instance, you might consider leasing furniture for an apartment you will use only for a year. The consumer leasing law requires leasing companies to give you the facts about the costs and terms of their contracts, to help you decide whether leasing is a good idea. The law applies to personal property leased to you for more than 4 months for personal, family or household use. It covers, for example, long-term rentals of cars, furniture, and appliances, but not daily car rentals or leases for apartments. Before you agree to a lease, the leasing company must give you a written statement of costs, including the amount of any security deposit, the amount of your monthly payments, and the amount you must pay for licensing, registration, taxes, and maintenance. The company must also give you a written statement about terms, including any insurance you need, any guarantees, information about who is responsible for servicing the property, any standards for its wear and tear, and whether or not you have an option to buy the property. Open-end leases and balloon payments. Your costs will depend on whether you choose an open-end lease or a closed-end lease. Open-end leases usually mean lower monthly payments than closed-end leases, but you may owe a large extra payment, often called a balloon payment, based on the value of the property when you return it. Suppose you lease a car under a 3-year open-end lease. The leasing company estimates the car will be worth $4,000 after 3 years of normal use. If you bring back the car in a condition that makes it worth only $3,500, you may owe a balloon payment of $500. The leasing company must tell you whether you may owe a balloon payment and how it will be calculated. You should also know that you have the right to an independent appraisal of the property's worth at the end of the lease. You must pay the appraiser's fee, however. A balloon payment is usually limited to no more than 3 times the average monthly payment. If your monthly payment is $200, your balloon payment wouldn't be more than $600 unless, for example, the property has received more than average wear and tear, for instance, if you drove a car more than average mileage. Closed-end leases usually have higher monthly payment than open-end leases, but there is no balloon payment at the end of the lease. Schumer Box Info. The Fair Credit and Charge Card Disclosure Act, which is part of the Truth in Lending Act, contains a provision, named after Senator Charles Schumer of New York, called the Schumer box, which means that prominently on a credit card application there is a box which lists all fees associated with the credit card, including info about late fees and cash advances which have extra high interest rates. Women and credit. There are many married women who have no credit because financial matters are handled by their husbands and they are not even aware that they are without any type of credit rating. This is a large problem in America today. Divorce seems to be the predicament that taunts women in search of their own good credit ratings. Either the wife did not have any of her own credit during the marriage, or the credit she shared with her husband took a bad turn during the divorce. Under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, women have the right to build up their own credit without being discriminated against. Women who do not apply for credit in their own names are at a distinct disadvantage. In the event of a divorce or death of a mate, there won't be a credit history reflecting any personal contributions. Under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, there is no reason for women to lose their identity when they are married. For many women, financial matters are handled by their husbands and they are not even aware that they are without any type of credit rating until divorce snaps them into reality. Either the wife did not have any of her own credit during the marriage, or the credit she shared with her husband took a bad turn during the divorce. The key to your credit success, regardless of your marital success, is that you build your own sole and separate credit. There are many benefits to be gained. In the event that the marriage does not work out, each spouse may part with their own credit. If the wife was always on time with her payments and the husband was poor with his payment schedule, they should be able to part ways with her credit intact. Another good reason to have separate credit is in the event a financial tragedy comes your way, leaving you with no alternative but to file bankruptcy. It might be possible that one partner could file while the other remains clear. If your husband currently has all the credit, have him place you on his accounts as a sharer of the account. You want to be sure you share the account but not the contractual liability. This way you will not be responsible for his errors. If it does show as a negative on your rating, you will be able to dispute it as you did only share the account. If the account is in good standing, work on getting it on your credit rating, as you may take the responsibility for the good rating. For men in similar situations, try the same method. If neither the wife or the husband have any credit, then both would sign the account as joint in privileges and contractual liability. Continue this process until you both have enough credit to get credit singularly. Then, as your new sole and separate accounts begin to get established, start closing the joint accounts you once shared. The purpose of this is to establish your credit as sole and separate. Consider also the use of a joint checking account. A clean checking history is very helpful in building credit. However, be wary if your spouse is particularly neglectful when maintaining a checking account. The end result could cause more harm than good. Both men and women are protected from discrimination based on gender or marital status, but many of the law's provisions were designed to stop particular abuses that generally made it difficult for women to get credit. For example, the idea that single women ignore their debts when they marry, or that a woman's income doesn't count because she will leave work to have children, is unlawful in credit transactions. The general rule is that you may not be denied credit just because you are a woman or just because you are married, single, widowed, divorced, or separated. Here are some important protections. Usually, creditors may not ask your gender on an application form. One exception is on a loan to buy or build a home. You do not have to use Miss, Mrs., or Ms. with your name on a credit application. In some cases, a creditor may ask whether you are married, unmarried, or separated. Unmarried includes single, divorced, and widowed. Childbearing plans. Creditors may not ask about your birth control practices or whether you plan to have children, and they may not assume anything about those plans. Income and alimony. The creditor must count all of your income, even income from part-time employment. Child support and alimony payments are a primary source of income for many women. You don't have to disclose these kinds of income, but if you do, creditors must count them. Telephones. Creditors may not consider whether you have a telephone listing in your name because this would discriminate against many married women. You may be asked if there's a telephone in your home. A creditor may consider whether income is steady and reliable, so be prepared to show that you can count on uninterrupted income, particularly if the source is alimony payments or part-time wages. Many married women used to be turned down when they asked for credit in their own name, or a husband had to co-sign an account and agree to pay if the wife didn't, even when a woman's own income could easily repay the loan. Single women couldn't get loans because they were thought to be somehow less reliable than other applicants. You now have a right to your own credit, based on your own credit records and earnings. Your own credit means a separate account or loan in your own name, not a joint account with your husband or a duplicate card on his account. Here are the rules. Creditors may not refuse to open an account just because of your gender or marital status. You can choose to use your first name and maiden name, Mary Smith, your first name and husband's last name, Mary Jones, or a combined last name, Mary Smith Jones. If you're creditworthy, a creditor may not ask your husband to co-sign your account, with certain exceptions when property rights are involved. Creditors may not ask for information about your husband or ex-husband when you apply for your own credit based on your own income, unless that income is alimony, child support, or separate maintenance payments from your spouse or former spouse. This last rule, of course, does not apply if your husband is going to use your account or be responsible for paying your debts on the account, or if you live in a community property state. Community property states are Arizona, California, Idaho, Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin. Married women have sometimes faced severe hardships when cut off from credit after their husbands died. Single women have had accounts closed when they married, and married women have had accounts closed after a divorce. The law says that creditors may not make you reapply for credit just because you marry or become widowed or divorced. Nor may they close your account or change the terms of your account on these grounds. There must be some sign that your creditworthiness has changed. For example, creditors may ask you to reapply if you relied on your ex-husband's income to get credit in the first place. Setting up your own account protects you by giving you your own history of how you handle debt to rely on if your financial situation changes because you get widowed or divorced. If you're getting married and plan to take your husband's surname, write to your creditors and tell them if you want to keep a separate account. Your gender or race may not be used to discourage you from applying for a loan, and creditors may not hold up or otherwise delay your application on those grounds. Under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, you must be notified within 30 days after your application has been completed whether your loan has been approved or not. If credit is denied, this notice must be in writing, and it must explain the specific reasons why you were denied credit or tell you of your right to ask for an explanation. You have the same rights if an account you have had is closed. If you are denied credit, be sure to find out why. You may have to ask the creditors for this explanation. It may be that the creditor thinks you have requested more money than you can repay on your income. It may be that you have not been employed or lived long enough in the community. You can discuss terms with the creditor and ways to improve your creditworthiness. If you think you have been discriminated against, cite the law to the lender. If the lender still says no without a satisfactory explanation, you may contact a federal enforcement agency for assistance or bring legal action. Federal Trade Commission, Washington, D.C. 20580. FTC.gov. Free booklet Women and Credit Histories. Women's Consumer Network. epub 3742. Washington, D.C. 20007. Women'sConsumerNet.com. 888 WCN 2221, Newsletter and Discounts. 800-229-5336, Discounts on Vitamins. You and your spouse in credit. You and your spouse are treated as two individuals as far as credit goes, except for what you own jointly. You have the right to have your credit information appear on the other's reports. If one of you has bad credit, this could help your credit report. Send a letter to the 1 or 2 CRAs that have a credit rating on you and ask to merge your spouse's credit report with yours. After this, ask to have your spouse's negative credit points removed from your individual credit report.